Well, there was only 4 of us in the finish when Jim went off.
Yes. And who were the 4?
That was Jack Taylor from Queen's Park, Dutchy Holland from Fremantle, and Ted Roots from Elton.
Yes, yeah.
And we stuck together.
Yeah, and then you like, as I understand it, Jim Clancy arrived in Mookton on Armistice Day 1942, the 11th of November. So when did you move out of Keijo?
12 months after, September 43.
Yeah. And what did the Japs make you do while you were in that camp at Keijo?
Well, we were on the Carbide furnaces. We objected to it, and as a matter of fact, we went on strike up there.
Really?
Yeah, they had us out on this manufacturing place, and it was about 2 miles and a half from the camp. And we were carting rocks and carting the spent carbide and tipping it out and that sort of thing, and we could see these blokes around these big furnaces, and they were Koreans, and they were coming to get a bit of fresh air, you know, and we said, oh Christ, we're not going up there. Anyway, after about 6 weeks, they said, we're going on the furnaces. And we said, no, we're not. And we wouldn't move, but you could get hold of Japs like that and frighten them for a minute, but then they'd think about it and say, well, these buckets have got no, you know. And they eventually come out with their bayonets and said, come on, you're going, and that's what it was. We went on the furnaces then, 12-hour shifts. It was continuous. You did a day shift and a night shift, and these were furnaces. They were up on a raised platform. They were about 30 foot across, and there was 3 big carbon arcs, and they were covered in a bronze water jackets, and the carbon arc itself was about this round, and it was white hot of course, and that used to raise up and down into the furnace. Now, they were positioned, there was 1 arc there, 1 arc there, and another arc over here. Well, there was 3 of us went on each for a 20-minute shift. Well, I was here, I had to do the front of my furnace and the front of this one. This bloke did the back of that one and the front of the other one.
And when you say what are you doing? I don't understand.
Yeah. To produce carbide, it's a mixture of coal briquettes and burnt limestone, and this was placed in big heaps at each furnace, and you had a shovel and you had a rag to hang down the side of your face to stop you getting burned, and a little apron that went down your leg, but your ankle got burned. Yeah. So, and you had to keep the flame down, not smother it, but keep it down. And it was pretty good while you had a fit team. But soon as one bloke started to deteriorate, then the thing got out of control. And the Japs used to drive us back with bayonets and that, and then it got too hot for them, so they used to switch it off then and let it cool down, and we'd start again. But all our legs and the side of our faces and arms all become mottled with the heat.
Yes.
and I was home for several months before it disappeared.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was fusing at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
So,
That's hot.
yeah. Well then, it used to be tapped from underneath by the Korean blokes, and they used to tap the furnace, and then it used to go into a round or mushroom type thing, and then pushed away on trucks and broken up.
Yes.
Yeah. And they run all their vehicles on that carbide gas.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said you did 20-minute shifts. Did that mean you did 20 minutes and you had 40 minutes away from
we
it?
only had 10 minutes off.
Did you?
Yeah. And then they varied it. We got 20 on and 20 off.
Yes.
Because there was nothing too many blokes about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you couldn't stand the heat, and you had to shovel like hell. And then every now and again we used to have to have a long poker, and you used to have to lift it up and let the air in around the wash if you did too much.
Yes.
Well, these bronze water jackets, we used to try and puncture them with this, and that would stop the furnace. See? And we'd get a break.
Get a break. Sure. Now, what sort of clothing did you have at this stage?
Well, only what we brought from Singapore.
Really? So you...
We never got any issue from the Japs at all.
But you had your greatcoat still?
We had our greatcoats.
What about footwear?
Well, we only had the boots we came with, and they had to last us. Well, a lot of it didn't. We were, in the end, wearing Jap those sneakers they had. But because that was only while we were working on the furnace. That's right. Then if you're on night shift, you'd come out at 12 o'clock and go home 12 o'clock the next day. Well, when the snow and ice was on, so it used to get 40 below up there. The used to be blizzards come off the go-by desert, and we were just up from just down from the go-by desert, near the Yalu River. And the snow would be like this on the ground, and the ground used to freeze down to 3 or 4 feet. And we'd finish at 12 o'clock, and we had to have a plunge. There was a big open hot bar. You had to plunge into that. You had no soap or anything. You just rubbed it off. Then we had to go and stand out in the snow and wait for the guards who warmed themselves up at a brazier in the guard office. Well, sometimes we stand there for half an hour after we'd been in this hot bar.
But you were back in your clothes, though?
Oh yeah, we were back in our clothes.
With your greatcoat on?
Oh yeah.
Did you have a hat?
Yeah, we kept our hats.
What was it? You still had your slouch hat?
Yeah, yeah. But when we left there, it was holes all over it.
Yes. Now this was still at Keijo, was it? You hadn't gone to Konan yet?
Yeah, that was at Konan.
That was at Konan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. See.
Did you have any medical people there, or did you?
Yeah, we had Doc Anderson, I think it was.